Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Crypto City. Thank you for coming out on your Monday night to spend some time with us and hear some updates on what's going on in the Web3 world. So I would like to take a moment to just address the fact that we are having a little bit of technical difficulties week to week in Spatial, so I'd appreciate if you'd be patient with the fact that perhaps we move weirdly across the stage a couple of times, or if we end up with somebody who runs up onto the stage. I know it's distracting. I apologize in advance. We're working on getting some of these little bugs worked out in general, but we're still going to have some great content, so don't worry about it. I'd like to also take a moment to mention that I often ask the audience if you have anything you'd like to share with us, any projects you're working on, or something cool that you're doing in Web3 or in the Metaverse, let us know. And one of our guests, he did reach out. So we have MetaLink is an app that Meta Prince has been working on here, and he has connected me with it, which has been wonderful. It's an app that allows you to post your events that you're doing in the metaverse on whichever platform you are working on, which is great. We came over here from Spatial. We really didn't have the same reach that we had in Altspace because there's no events board. And, we'd run around and tell everybody, hey, I'm doing a show tonight. Come out to it. Come out to it. We come on here, we go live, and we have the show, broadcasting, and we record it, but it's hard to drive the masses to it unless it shows up on the popular world. So one thing that he has created is a way for us to share all of this. So there's two parts to the app because he's been working very diligently. The first half of the app was to have us be able to go in, put our information in about the event, where it is, which platform, a URL if there's a way to join it that way, the time, all of that, super simple to use. And it uploads all that information into this database of categories. So let's just say you come in and you're interested in music and you're throwing a concert. You go in and you enter in all your information about the concert and you upload it into there, and people who have saved category of music are going to see that these events are coming up live and that you can go to them. I have mine on there under Web3, and it's been great since I got in there early. I've been able to play around with it and see the different iterations that he's come up with. We get to upload an image, a graphical image of the show. You get to put in all your information, and you actually can send invites out to people directly from there. If other people have the app, they will go in, choose their categories that they're interested in, and they'll be able to see all of the different all the different events that are happening within that category. So that's really, really cool. So the problem was, not really a problem, but a little bit of a challenge was, what if you don't have the app? But you still want to bring your friends in, or you want to share, especially something like Spatial, where you can access Spatial from your laptop, you can access it from your phone. So he wanted to be able to share with everybody. If you have a friend you want to send it to and say, hey, if you're not doing anything tonight, log on your laptop, log on your phone. So he created a second part to the app that you actually put all your information into from the event, and it generates a link that you can easily send off to people. And the people can open up this link and be able to connect with your event. So for any of you out there who are creating events right now in VR chat, in Spatial, some of the other programs that are out there in the metaverse that you can conduct events in, check this out. It's called MetaLink. You can download it from the App Store. If you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to him after the show, and maybe he can connect you and send you a link to connect with on Instagram so that you can check it out. It's absolutely great. I've been using it for a few weeks now, and it's super simple. And that's the one thing that he did that people need to remember. Keep it simple, or people will get frustrated with it and walk away. So great job. Thank you for sharing. Really appreciate it. And I'm excited for other people to get on this app and be able to use it with us. So speaking of creating amazing things for everybody to use, tonight we have James from Utopia VR here. Welcome, James, and thank you for coming out to be with us tonight.
Well, thank you for having me on.
So Utopia VR, although it's new to most of us, is not actually new. It's something you've been working on for quite some time now. Tell us about when it started.
Well, actually, that'll date me. I don't know if I should tell that, but we actually started working on it 30 years ago. Me and the same group that, well, the majority of the same group that was with me back in the 90s. We were trying to build the metaverse back then. Of course, as we all know, the internet wasn't good enough and the hardware wasn't good enough. So my team went to commercial use. So we worked in the commercial division for VR for a long time, and then we kept up with the indie developers like in Crystal Space, and then it turned into Unity and all that kind of stuff. And then we worked on little, teams helping out with mobile app games and stuff like that. And then we started to create our own, and then the Rift started becoming popular, so we decided to switch back gears into making VR, and we've been working on Utopia quietly part-time for 4 years, and last year was the first year we came out full-time. So now we're full speed trying to get it all finished up. One of the reasons why we went full time is because we heard rumors about AltSpace closing down, and I'd been a part of the
Mm.
AltSpace community since like 2017. So I was trying to help facilitate keeping the community together, and we're still building that. Like you were talking about the events system, our event system is just like AltSpace's event system. So we have a poster board that shows you everything that's going on,
Mhm.
and eventually it'll be on our website too, so people can just go to our website and see what events are going on in our metaverse.
I've been in, I've checked it out. I was lucky to be one of the people in your beta group. DJ Marcus was also in there at that time. So we got to go in early and check it out. And, I will say from the time that we got word about AltSpace sunsetting, and I found out that you were doing this app in Utopia, I went in, we checked out some things. We are like, all right, this has great potential. The look and the feel is really nice. It feels very similar to, AltSpace, which if you were part of AltSpace, we had a very strong affinity for that app. However, the visual graphics were beautiful. They were bright. They were nice. And we came in and we kind of gave you some feedback like, well, this is good, but we need this, or this has to change, but this part's great, and we would give you feedback, and every single thing we told you, you took it in and you said, okay, and then you went and you tried to fix that and make that. And the next time you come in, check it out. Look what we did now. Oh, okay, we fixed this. This is great. Okay, now what about this? And everything that we gave you as feedback, you've been trying week after week to improve upon. I know for a little while there was several updates to the app, one right after another, but each one was a very worthwhile update. There were things that you were conquering. And I'm sure, it's not easy building worlds in the metaverse. It's not easy building kits. It's not easy doing a lot of the things that we do in the metaverse. But you're building an entire platform. And, the good thing is you have a team behind you, which, obviously this is not a one-man show to build a metaverse, but this is your baby that you're making come to life with this team. Now, when you got together with this team 30 years ago, has the same team been consistent, or did you find that you needed to change over time for the different needs that you have?
Well, we did. Our core team has been always been the same. It's been the same five of us, but then we've grown since then. A couple of our original guys have uh, completely decided to bow out because they work full-time jobs and they just didn't want to spend the time to keep working on it.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of our team is the original team from before, and then we added on to some of the people we have. Is we have two professors that are working for us now. One of them is a business professor. It's also an ex lieutenant colonel in the Air Force. Uh, we call him the business end of things. We always throw everything by him to see if we're going crazy or not. And then we have our economist, because we're not just building just a social media metaverse. Our metaverse is also going to have games involved in it, kind of like Sims Life or World of Warcraft. That kind of stuff's going to be sitting on top of it as well, which will bring in the gamers, and the gamers then can see, hey, I've been fighting zombies all day long, but then now CityGirl's throwing a cool event. Let's go take a look at it. It'll bring more people into the actual social media edge of it, doing it that way as well. So that's kind of like our plan. But one of the other things that we saw, which we planned out in the beginning, is I don't know how old the audience that comes here is, but if you ever heard of Lawnmower Man back in the 90s, he built a city that everybody was going to go live in, and that was part of the movie at the end. He was like creating a city to live in virtual reality. So we actually are creating a city ourselves that actually maps out every single part of our metaverse. So like if you bring this world in, it literally be hooked to your universe, which is hooked to one of our cities. And then you could get land in our city, and then you could put all your different universes hooked to your city. So everything's mapped out. So everything actually has a 3D coordinate system that I created, which I can literally figure out where everybody's at based on like, just like if you were in Canada and that's where you're physically at. Well, if you were in Crypto City, that's where you would be at, is Crypto City. It's an actual 3D thing. It's not just a bunch of random worlds like a lot of the metaverses that are set up right now.
It's very interesting, and it's makes for a topographical layout for you to manage what's going on in there. I mean, it's interesting because I think some of us think about the fact that, okay, I want to go to this other world in here. We go to our menu, we click on it and we teleport, and we never really think of it as a flat, like a layout. We think of it more like we just randomly evaporate and reappear in this other place. It's almost like Star Trek, beam me up, Scotty, and you end up over somewhere else and you pop in and then you're just like, I randomly got here somehow. But you're saying that your utopia is more of an actual, like there's a presence for each thing on a topographical layout almost.
Yeah, so basically it's like we got the middle of the universe is Utopia, and all the cities that we're building and all the games and all the worlds that we build is our little universe. And then we have sectors of space. When you create in our world, you pick a sector of space, and then you create a universe inside that sector, and then you create a world. And then the world has 9 plots of land on it, which basically you would consider this a plot of land. This one sector here would be a plot of land, which you call the world here. And then you can actually link all your worlds together. So you can literally map out your own world where you can go walk from one land to another land across the whole world. And it's all linked. And eventually you'll be able to jump from world to world. And then from at that point, like our city's already built like that. You can literally go from our infinite tower and drive across the whole city and go to different people's houses by just driving like a car or even walking through it. So it gets that immersion effect. That's the whole thing that I think that a lot of the metaverses are like, they're getting close to the immersion effect, but they're not getting the effect that you're actually walking to some place, like you're actually there at the place. Like you said, you're like randomly dropping to different worlds.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's cohesive. Like you're actually going, I'm actually here. I'm actually walking down the street, and now I'm going to CityGirl's house, or I'm going to DJ Marcus' house, or Blue Moon's house. You're literally, my whole thing was, I want to be like, I'm inside the world, and I'm living in the world, and this is like, I know where CityGirl's place is at all time because I can walk down the street and go to it. As well as if you just want to drop and hop or teleport, you can still do that too. But some people like me, maybe the older crowd, we want to feel like we can walk into a building, walk into the floor, walk into the apartment, which is literally what we do in our first settlers that we have right now. You can literally walk, you can go to the first settlers, then you pick the building you want to go to, then you pick floor 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then like when one of our Patreons or Utopians own one, it literally says like the first person ever did is called Lizard. He actually it says Lizard's apartment, and he can put it public or he can put it private. Puts it public, people can come visit him. Private, he has to invite them in.
Okay. So now you referred to them as first settlers. Is this like a phrase that, or a term that you have coined for people who are new to the app?
No, the first settlers are people that are like currently right now that are coming here and helping us build out the society and the community of Utopia itself.
Okay.
Actually, as of June the 1st, my board has said we're canceling the first settlers, and anybody after that will no longer be a first settler, but just be a citizen.
Okay.
So that's we're kind of like putting to a point that but if you guys get in sooner, you get titles and things that other people don't get.
Nice. Well, and there you go. You're driving the exclusivity of the original people who get in at the beginning, to build yourself a base, which is great. I have gone over, like I said, and checked out some of it. I know you've had a few events over there for the community so that they could come and check out what Utopia looks like. I know DJ Marcus he'd hosted a couple of shows over there, some music. And you also have DJ Marcus's new radio station playing over there in Utopia. So explain how that's working.
So what we got is I didn't like the audio that comes through like the headsets for that we usually use in Horizon Worlds or even Altspace really couldn't. So and me and DJ Marcus when he first came in was like, we got to find some way to make the sound like you're right there. So I literally created a module that you can take streaming URLs from either PC or through a server straight into our metaverse. So what we've done to test it was in our lobby, DJ Marcus's radio station literally streams into our lobby. And we also use it as the base. If you're going to throw an event, you don't have a DJ, you can use his radio station as your background music. Um, what we're going to eventually do is, what actually I'm working on it right now, is in the apartments and stuff. If you have an apartment or a home in our metaverse, you can literally click on his radio station and it'll play for you. Or we're also going to have TV stations and all that kind of stuff hooked into it, so it feels like you're actually in a home that you're living in. That kind of stuff. Um,
That's very cool.
Thanks. Yeah. We're trying to get it is to make it feel like it's your home. And literally that's what we usually say when people talk like it's time to come home. It's like this whole time we've been traveling, exploring the metaverse. Now we have a home to live in. And that's what we're trying to build for the community, bring it back. And I'm not saying don't go to other metaverses. Heck, I go to other metaverses. I go to VR Chat. I go to Horizon Worlds. I come to Spatial. I used to go to Altspace all the time. So I believe that there's enough room for all the metaverses to be out there. I don't think there's a reason just to be one or be the only one. So, and I support that when people have their events, we try to support those guys on Instagram and all that kind of stuff. When I see it, I just like it and share it to everybody. So that way, I think that we're all a big, huge community, and we're such a young industry right now. There's no reason for anybody like, oh well, I only go to Altspace. I only go to here. You should go everywhere. I mean, that's what I told
Absolutely.
when I was talking to Jay Marcus about his radio. So like, make sure you're in Altspace. Make sure you're in Spatial. Make sure you're in Utopia. Make sure you're in
Mm-hmm.
Horizon Worlds, because that way you get a bigger group of people. Because some people don't know about the other metaverses.
Mm-hmm.
I literally have a whole group of people in Horizon World that tell the newcomers that come in from the headsets, there's a lot more out there than just Horizon Worlds. Go look and see what's out there. Don't stop at one world, because there might be something you like in one world that you don't like in another world.
Of
Or
course.
you might not know people. Like if I didn't go to Altspace and hang out there, I would have never met DJ Marcus or you. So there's if I stuck in just Horizon Worlds, I would have never met all you guys from Altspace. So I mean, I think that you should travel everywhere, especially if you're going to be a presenter or somebody that hosts events. You should have one in every single environment that's out there.
Mm.
Um, and I know there's a lot of new ones coming out too. So, but
Yeah. No, but you're right though. It's really no different than in real life. Let's say you were born in California. California is going to be your home. It's going to be where you come back to all the time, but that doesn't keep you from traveling to Central America or the Caribbean or Europe. You travel around to check out other places. It's how you meet new people. It's how you spread your mission and your word. It's how you explore and see what works and what doesn't. You can go somewhere and check something out and fall in love with how it works, come back home, figure it out in your own place and make it work for you there. So, I mean, you're creating Utopia. It's now live and people are in there and doing different things. But let's take events, for example, as you're holding events and you hear people say, I wish I had the capability of such and such that we used to have in Altspace, or I wish there was a way to be able to do this. Now you take that and it goes in your head and you come up with the idea of like, how do we accomplish this and make this better for the experience for both the event hosts and for the guests. I mean, we're having those challenges right now in Spatial. We came over from, if you were in Altspace, the people who were there are constantly like, oh, in Altspace we had, and it sounds, redundant and it sounds annoying, but the truth is we had an amazing hosting system over in Altspace. Was it perfect? No, but it had pretty much everything you needed to put an event together and bring everybody to it, broadcast it, share screen, like to do everything that you needed to do. You had stage blockers, you had all of the necessary things to create a successful event. It was just a matter of putting it all together and implementing it. Now we're over
Mhm.
here in other worlds and we have some things, but we don't have all. So as you hear these things, you are able to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, let's incorporate this. How do we do it? So are
So,
you're having some events over there now. Have you been getting a fair amount of feedback? And how is the incorporation going of, adding things for people?
yeah, we get a lot of feedback. We have a pretty good team. I call them core team or support team. We have like 20 to 30 people that basically from Altspace, VR Chat, and from Horizon World that come in on a daily basis and go, hey, James, I saw this, but I want to know if you can do this or can you do that or that kind of stuff. Of course, we have to put in mind that we have our own list of stuff we're trying to get done as well. But our main goals right now is to get our event system as close to Altspace's event system. Like as you said, Altspace had the best event system in the metaverse, and we're trying to reproduce it. We are literally working on our own web projector right now. We're putting videos in probably next week. We can stream videos from the URL just like you can the audio. Um, we are putting our city together. Metatech VR and his team are actually literally rebuilding our lobby into the lobby that I really wanted it to be, and they're building our Infinite Tower, which is our main part of the whole universe. So a lot of the community are helping us now build out these things. So we're trying to also incorporate everything that everybody wants, and we some of the things that are a problem with spatial. We see those things and go, okay, now we got to make sure we don't do that because we see that the players don't like it and stuff like that. And that's
Mm,
kind of another difference between our group and a lot of the other metaverses being made. We're actually part of the community. Everybody in my team are in VR in one way or another. If they're not in headsets, they're in PCs doing it. So we have a love for the actual community and its and what's going on in it. So we do what we can. There's still always a time limit and a price to everything, so we have to keep that in
of
mind too.
course. So that's something people don't really think about. When we ask somebody to build us a world in here, we kind of have a budget in our head of, okay, we know that this world builder is going to be, top tier. We know this world builder might be slightly more affordable. And we kind of put together, okay, this is what I have for a budget. So I'm going to go to this world builder and see what I can get. But you're putting together a much grander scale. So, 30 years of working on this project or 30 years of developing this project, let's say, now that it's actually here and things are going, I mean, where does the funding come from this? Do you have sponsors? How do you go
We
about
have
getting funding?
we do well right now. The majority of our thing is coming from friends and family, kind of investment in the company itself. The I'm investing money, of course. A lot of my family members are doing it now. My board of directors have all invested money in it. We do have 20 shareholders that have invested money in it, and then we have sponsors. We have an architect firm that's sponsored us for the last event that we did, and they just sponsored us again for the next event that we're going to be doing in about 7 weeks. Um,
Nice.
we also are talking. We also have sponsors with Cyber Shoes, Be Haptics, and we're literally going to be talks after I'm finished doing some of my other things I want to get done. First, we're going to have talks with some other VR companies. One of my owners is a very influential person in the virtual reality uh, world of CEOs of people that create stuff. So we're going to try to see if we can put together some type of plan to help promote all the different types and devices that are in the metaverse inside of our metaverse and help people get to them because people don't even know some of the stuff they're being created. Like I bet you don't even know about the skin the cyber skin that's being created that actually allows you when you touch an object to feel the different textures of like wood or metal and that kind of stuff.
What?
But
Oh, that's crazy. That's great.
yeah, they're about 5 or 6 years out before it becomes a commercial use. But they're working on it, and and there's OEO and stuff like that are coming out. They're actually out now. I think they went out in October. I think they finally released in October. But so we're trying to help the whole VR community because we want VR to take off as much as anybody, um, because we want to see it, we want to feel it, we want to be a part of it. Um, and that's the main thing that our company focuses on when we look at something. Will this help the community? Will it build what we've always wanted to build?
Mm.
Then that's what we're going to do. And that's why I listened to DJ Marcus and yourself and Blue Moon and Meditech and Sherwin and all them guys. I was like, okay, tell me, what do you? Oh, hello. Yeah, tell me what you guys think. What do you see? What's wrong with this? What don't you like? What annoys you? What makes you happy? What do you want to
Mm-hmm.
see that's never been ever done?
Mm-hmm.
Because we that's what we want too. Our whole purpose of our metaverse was to have a dream of being able to do whatever you want to do in life that you can't do in real life.
Sure.
So the more and more it grows, the more and more we see, okay, well, these people, like, they wanted this. We never thought about that. Well, why don't we build that for them? So we do our best to make it work for it. Within a reason, there's some things that people want that, I mean, the computer can't even handle or the Quest can't handle.
Of course,
So,
yeah. Well, we have that problem anyways. So, and it's interesting too because you mentioned that you have your core world, and then you have your housing, let's call it, around it, the apartments and stuff, and then you mentioned that you're going to be having games built into it, and
mhm.
and I know you have some events. So, do you feel that what you're creating is going to be completely all encompassing, or is there going to be a kind of like, sometimes you have a feel like, for instance, when you come over to Spatial, although there's some games in Spatial seems to be more of a events driven platform. When you go over to VR chat, you have a much wider platform over there. You have a lot of games. You can have events over there. You have tons of chill spaces to hang out and everything. Would you say that you're probably looking more toward a VR chat type environment where there's a little bit of everything for everybody, and it's kind of going to be able to, maybe it'll be a little bit more user friendly on the hosting of events, but in general, that you'll be able to have a little bit of everything, regardless of what it is that each person wants to get out of VR when they come in.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know if we'd be exactly like VR chat because we're literally one of the things that we're doing that a lot of the metaverses aren't doing. We're building our own content. So like when we're going to be building an MMO game that's going to be inside of our metaverse. We're going to
Oh,
actually
okay.
build the game, and then we're going to, like in Dungeons and Dragons or pen and paper days, we're going to allow the players to take that whole set of every instructions and controls and create their own campaigns, their own quests and stuff like that. So it's going to be a lot more detailed into that factor. I would think, and I hate to use the word, but Ready Player One was a sliver of what our metaverse is really supposed to be. And that's what we're trying to get to, is that sliver where whatever you want to do, if you want to go skiing down the pyramids, like they said, you can go skiing down the pyramids. If you want to climb Mount Everest with Batman, you can go ahead and do that. I don't know why you want Batman to help you, but actually, in my metaverse right now, you can literally climb Mount Everest. We have the geo spacing map of Mount Everest, and we have handholds. You can climb up the top of the mountain.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Okay.
I've actually never made it all the way to the top yet myself because I get tired, but it's it's pretty tall up there. So yeah, I think that, I would see, what I see is that because we have in-app building, we have external building, and eventually we're going to have our own computer language, just like like VR chat does as well, for people that have that capabilities. But we're trying to make it where anybody can come into our metaverse, and even if they don't know how to make a world, they can get their dream to come true because they can use the tools we have for them to build it. We're also trying to create like a team of world builders that would help people in our
Mhm.
metaverse create their own worlds as well, if they just want created. And it's also not just the players. We're also looking at businesses too. So let's say, like, you guys have a business, you want to promote it. You can buy a skyscraper in our city and promote your business. Have business meetings there. Have your own offices. You can eventually, we're going to have it where you can sell your stuff through your websites and stuff like that. So uh, it's it's basically, it's going to be where you live, and that's what we're planning on having it be. It's going to be like your home space where you go to live.
Mm-hmm. All right. No, I mean, everything that you've been describing, I mean, it seems well thought out. It seems like it seems that you've been planning this for obviously for quite some time, but that you've actually taken into account what the other metaverse platforms are offering and decided, this is what we want to do here. We're going to take all the good from everywhere, bring it in and make it into this particular app. Now, when you talk about world building over there, is it Unity based? Because I know that that's what most platforms are using, and it's there's always been the challenges of the different versions of Unity. With, for instance, VR Chat needed to up their version so that it would be equal with alt space and spatial, things like that. Is yours Unity based as well, or are there other programs that are also accepted?
But we are a Unity based thing. We do have our uploader just like AltSpace does. Right now we're currently at 2019. We will be this summer working on upgrading it to the highest version of Unity. Actually have one of my friends who's done it already with one of his programs, so he's going to come and help me translate all this stuff over. Because one of the things people don't realize when you do that, I have over 2 million lines of code in the app
Oof.
right now. So it's kind of like if you change one thing, you got to make sure you don't mess it up. Like I don't know how many people have been in Horizon Worlds, but when they have their updates and it messes up, you guys got to give them a break because they literally are changing one little code can come over here and nail you on 4 other thousand lines you didn't know about.
Oof.
It's not
Oh
that easy
God.
when it's that complicated. Um, Building actually literally programming in 3D, and that's one of the reasons why you don't see a lot of AAA's coming in to the VR space is because it's not currently worth it. We're only a $16 billion industry right now annually, which that's what they made last week. Um, so they're like, why should I have my programmers learn how to do all this? Because like faking 3D with a 2D screen is a lot easier than actually, okay, now you're at that screen's actually really there. It's not just a fake 3D model. Like your hands are
Mm-hmm.
moving, your fingers are moving, your eyes are moving, your mouth is moving. All that kind of stuff is a lot of programming behind it that a lot of people don't understand. So it's pretty complicated, but we are planning to upgrade it just because we want to keep up with it. And the reason why people kept it 2019 for as long as most of us have, is because of we also have Steam customers, and
Okay.
Steam would not update to the newest version of Unity's integration kit until just recently. Now they have, so now we can now upgrade to all that stuff, and that's why everybody's starting to slowly go that way. Um, because the really hardcore VR guys are they're Steam guys. They've been around for like 2000 since 2014. So you don't want to cut them people out because it's good to have that knowledge about, hey, this is what we used to do in this app, or this app used to do this. But and that's another reason why that's another thing I wanted to talk about is people want to ask why do we charge $5 to allow people into our app when everybody else is free? Well, we're indie programming company. That means we're paying for it all ourselves. And when we have one person come in, it literally cost me over. We actually tested it out. It was like $5.25. So for every person that comes into my app every time, it costs me 25 cents, even if they're not paying, if they're paying the Patreon. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why AltSpace shut down. I mean, if the original two people that made AltSpace could afford to keep the servers going and didn't sell it out to Microsoft, it still would be going right now
Oh, of
because
course. Yeah. And we all
they
would have
had.
paid.
Yeah, so there's if somebody's not charging you something, they got plans to somehow do it. And here's the thing is there's investors investing like 1.2 billion dollars in one of the metaverses right now. They just invested it last summer. No one's going to invest that kind of money unless they think they're going to get that money times 10 back. So
Right.
if you're getting free access to a metaverse, they've found some other way to fund that off until
Mm-hmm.
they have a way to get money out of either the players or businesses. They've got to, somebody's got to pay for the servers. The server is the biggest cost of all. It's every time somebody sends information, when I move my hand like this, I'm costing spatial money because it's sitting
Mm-hmm.
to everybody in this room that my hand is going up and down like that. And every time that goes it goes to everybody else, and that cost, it might be only 0.0001 cent for every time my hand moves,
But it adds
but
up.
when I move it a lot, it
Right.
starts going higher and higher. And that's why we charge $5. And $5 right now, frankly, think about it. You can't even go to McDonald's right now and get a cheeseburger for $5.
No, $5
So
is a fair cost for access. I mean, we buy apps in the headset. I mean, most of us have bought an app in the headset and paid, anywhere between $10 and $30 for an app. So, and if this is one that we're going to use as, our home base, as you call it, where you're going to come in, you're going to hang out there, you're going to do events there, you're going to play games and stuff. I mean, if you go out with your friends at night, you spend more money than that. If you sit home and rent a movie, online, you pay more than that. So for $5 to get in for it, I think that's plenty fair. Now, for people who might be interested who have not been over to Utopia yet, how do they get in there right now? Do they download the app? I mean, I know we got in a little bit differently. We have special access, but now that it's up and running, how does that work?
right now, we are in the App Lab store, but we're only on invite only because we're literally consolidating a bunch of stuff to get into the public view of it. And frankly, we weren't really ready to open it up to everybody yet. So we're kind of like, hey, we'll just wait until we get all this stuff sorted up. But we are an App Lab, and we do have on our website our own account system, just like Spatial does. And I believe I think Allspace had its own too through Microsoft's
Yep.
email address. And then we also have SideQuest still. All those SideQuests have been having some problems lately. I'm hoping they're going to fix those things soon. But so we're still on SideQuest, and we are in App Labs by invite only. Um, and eventually we will be on the Steam store as well for the Steam players. We are talking to Pico to come into the Pico 5 store. So we will be on that probably in the middle of summer. It's not like our main thing we're pushing right now. We're kind of watching the market with that right now, but we will be in there because if there's a headset come out, even the headset that big screens come out, we're talking to them about seeing if we can make sure that ours work. But I think they're a Steam based headset anyway. So if it's a Steam based headset, we can already work with them. So.
And I remember that it's not utopia.com. So for people who are trying to get to your website, what was the website again?
It's utopiavr.world.
Okay, so utopiavr.world. After the show tonight, I will go on to the Discord and I will put down some information so that you can reach out to James if you are interested in checking out Utopia. I'll put the website in there so that you'll have access to it. And also, I'll put the link for Utopia VR's Instagram so people can follow along there as well. So let me ask you a question. I mean, we've talked about Utopia, what you're doing with what you're doing with it and what's coming, but was this always what you did outside of here, not just Utopia, but in general? Were you a programmer? Like, where did this passion come from?
Well, actually, I've been programming since I was 9 years old. My dad was in Air Force intelligence, and when I was a kid, I was the only person in probably my whole neighborhood, maybe even my whole city, that actually had a computer at the time. This was the 70s. And I told my dad that I wanted to have this checker game that I heard about. And he's like, nope, they're going to learn to build it. So he taught me to build my own checker game. By the time I was in high school senior, my checker game was actually a chess game that beat me and the state champion of Illinois at the time in chess. So I fell in love with that, and I started wanting to do AI, but then like Star Wars came out and Lawnmower Man came out, and all these things started getting in my head, and I was like, well, I was playing Dungeons & Dragons. Yes, I'm a geek. I was playing Dungeons & Dragons going, this would be cool if we could actually see a dragon in front of us and throw a fireball at him. So then when I went to college, when I was in college, I was going for computer programming, and I talked to one of my professors about, I really wanted to build, we didn't call it virtuality back then. It was more like a holodeck idea back then. But I told him about it, and then he introduced me to this group, and some of those people are still with me right now today. And but yeah, I was a programmer for most of my life. My brother's a programmer. My dad's a programmer. My great uncle was one of the first people that used to actually stick the cords in the machine back in the old days when it was just ones and zeros. so so there's been a lot of technology people in my family actually. But yeah, I worked for Fortune 500 companies. I contracted myself out. I was the state of Illinois DB2 administrator for the whole state of Illinois for a good 3 years. So
Okay.
I have a lot. I have a lot of
So
experience with
you are
that kind of
passionate about this.
stuff. Yeah, computers. I talk. That some people think that I talk computers better than I talk English. I keep telling them that I know 28 languages. 27 were computer languages, and the 28th one is English. So
English.
yeah,
We're gonna have to connect you with Pixel Addict so you guys can chat. That's so funny. You guys we could sit there for. I could picture the two of you on stage for about 2 hours going back and forth with all of this. It's amazing though that you were able to start something so young in life and carry it through and be look at what you're building. Now you're building the world for people. So that's really amazing. Really excited to see what's coming up next with Utopia. When you said you do have an event coming up in about 7 weeks, and is that going to be open to the public or will this be invite only?
we are hoping that that will be a public invite. It just counts if everything goes the way we planned. What we have thought about doing is having a. Oh, hold on, my dog is going nuts. Uh, thought about like having DJ Marcus and Metatech VR and a couple other people do some events, smaller events, and invite smaller groups of people in for like a free look and stuff like that. But I got to get approval of the board before we go ahead and do that. We want to bring in like 10 to 15 people at a time, like on a weekend, just let them see it for a weekend, see if they like it. They want to support
Okay.
us. They can jump on the Patreon and they become a full-time, citizen.
Okay. And the you said the first settlers is ending. Ooh, and we lost him. Hopefully he'll be right back in. But it's definitely exciting. If you haven't been over to Utopia and you want to connect with him to get yourself access in there, I've gone in, like I said, DJ Marcus and I have both been over there for a while, and we've gotten to check a bunch of things out. It's got a cool feel to it. Blue's been over there as well. I'm not sure how many other people in here have been there to check it out, but connect with James, get an invite, go over there and just feel. You can use your Ready Player Me avatars over there. So you're going in there with something that you're already familiar with, and just check it out, jump around, see some of the worlds that are in there. There's a nightclub, there's a couple of chill spaces. There's if any of you know Sweetest, she actually made a world in there as well for a big party event that happened. So they're people who we are familiar with here in the metaverse bringing worlds in. And there's also bigger and better things that Utopia VR is building by themselves. So I'm not sure if he's going to make it back in or not, but we are getting close to the top of the hour anyways. So I would like to remind you all about our Discord. Please go on there and join. And we post a lot of information from after the shows on there. Also, all these episodes are on our YouTube channel. So if you go onto our Instagram, Crypto City VR, you will see our link tree in the bio, and you can go there and see the link to all the different social apps, our Facebook, our Instagram, our YouTube channel, the website, all that stuff. So go on there and check it out. Rewatch some of the previous episodes. I'd like to give a shout out right now to DJ Marcus for rebroadcasting some of the Crypto City episodes in his new radio station over the last few days. Thank you so much, Marcus. Appreciate you greatly. I'm sitting at work and I'm listening to myself, and it was kind of funny because there was an episode I was listening to today, and I actually even sent Marcus a message, and I was like, this is hilarious because when I'm up on stage, I'm doing the interview, I'm watching the crowd, I'm recording everything on my computer, so I'm like, my head and my hands are in 10 different places. I'm re-listening to the episode today, and I was learning things from that episode that I maybe was listening to but didn't really soak in so well because it was so busy at the time. And I was like, wow, okay, yeah, we talked about this. I remember. I didn't remember that was his answer. This is great. So sometimes when you're here, whether it's internet issues popping in and out, or you get distracted by something, you might miss some key information. doesn't hurt to rewatch an episode. And I'm not saying that from, hey, watch me again. I'm saying it because, hey, we're here to learn. And that's why we're putting this stuff out there so people can go back and learn more. Again, if any of you have anything that you would like to see featured on this show, please drop me either a DM or put something up on the Discord. And if any of you, have questions, I'm always here to talk. You can find me in here. You can find me in VR chat. You can find me in Instagram pretty much all the time. So thank you all for coming out tonight. And we will see you next week on Monday night, 9 p.m. with Pixel Addict. He's coming in. He's got a very special show for you guys. He's actually going to do another demo show where we're actually doing something that you can get to see. So thank you to James from Utopia VR. Up here he is. James, I was just telling them I'm going to put up links for how people can get in touch with you. And we're putting this episode up on our YouTube channel for people to watch. And I'd like to thank you for coming on tonight for this interview. It was great. And if anybody would like to connect with James after the show, feel free to come up and talk to him. Or, like I said, I'll put up the links and you can reach out to him online. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.